Imagine standing alone on a quiet forest road, morning mist hugging your feet as you see an eagle, wings broken, bleeding quietly beside her trembling eaglets. In that heart-stopping moment, could one brave dog change their destiny forever? This is more than just a story of rescue. It's a powerful journey into love, courage, and redemption. If this touches your heart, gently press, subscribe, like, and share. Let this quiet heroism inspire others, too. The first pale streaks of dawn had barely begun to soften the edge of the sky when Briggs stirred beside his owner, Walter Jennings. Briggs was a German shepherd, 11 years old, his sturdy frame showing traces of silver mixed generously into the rich black and tan of his thick fur. Once known for unwavering bravery and tireless determination in the local forest rescue team, Briggs had long since traded his heroic missions for quiet walks and slow days. Now, his eyes, deep and wise, mirrored the quiet dignity of a dog whose life had been spent saving others, but who now only sought peace beside the one human who mattered most. Walter Jennings, at 78, bore the weathered appearance of a man who had seen his share of sorrows. With thinning silver hair and lines etched deep from years of solitude, Walter wore a gentle, patient demeanor, a reflection of a quiet strength shaped by the loss of his wife several years ago. Since her passing, his heart had grown fragile, often troubled by moments of sadness, softened only by Briggs's comforting presence. They were each other's anchor, each other's silent companions along life's quiet twilight road. This particular morning carried the chill of early spring. Dew coated the tall grasses that fringed the narrow, winding road leading out from the heart of Ridge Hollow into the encroaching forest. Briggs trotted gently alongside Walter, ears pricked, alert to the hushed whispers of nature awakening. Their quiet rhythm was broken suddenly as Briggs paused, his large paws rooted firmly, ears tilted sharply forward. His posture became tense, his keen senses capturing an urgent distress, invisible yet palpable in the damp air. Walter's voice was soft but urgent. "What is it, Briggs?" But Briggs had already quickened his pace, guiding Walter further ahead, toward a shadowed form lying disturbingly still in the center of the asphalt road. As the two moved closer, the shape clarified, revealing itself as a majestic bald eagle, once soaring proudly through the open skies, now cruelly confined by a wounded wing and blood pooling gently beneath her. Her sharp eyes remained half open, fixed resolutely upon two frightened eaglets huddled beside her trembling feathers. Their small, downy bodies shook visibly, tiny cries piercing the morning stillness with desperation. Walter stopped abruptly, breath catching painfully in his chest. He had always felt a profound reverence for these noble birds. Their freedom and resilience had inspired him deeply throughout his life. But seeing the injured mother eagle, helpless and vulnerable, stirred painful memories within him, memories he had fought to bury beneath layers of quiet grief. He stepped back, one hand pressed gently against his chest to steady his heart, feeling the shadow of old regrets surfacing again. Yet Briggs moved forward without hesitation, his instincts as a former rescue dog taking control. Calmly and deliberately, he approached the eagle, ears gently flattened, his eyes warm and reassuring. The mother eagle did not flinch, sensing immediately that Briggs meant no harm. Softly, Briggs nudged the frightened eaglets closer toward their injured mother, his gentle nose comforting and protective, speaking a language of tenderness and compassion beyond words. Walter, collecting himself, knelt carefully near Briggs. "It's okay, girl," he whispered softly to the eagle, his voice trembling slightly with the weight of memory and emotion. "We're here to help you." Briggs watched carefully, alert and supportive, as Walter cautiously examined the eagle's damaged wing. They shared a look, a silent conversation of trust, built through years of quiet companionship. Walter knew they needed help, and quickly. Suddenly, Briggs's sharp ears pricked up, his gaze whipping toward the curve in the distance. An engine hummed ominously, distant but closing swiftly, the rumble growing louder. A heavy vehicle, a truck, oblivious to the precious lives huddled vulnerably in the road, rushed steadily toward them, unaware and unstoppable. Briggs tensed, every muscle poised, ready to once more stand between danger and innocence, prepared to risk everything as he had done countless times in his younger days. Walter's eyes widened, panic rising sharply, catching in his throat. "Briggs, be careful," he pleaded quietly, his words edged with fear. But Briggs was already stepping resolutely forward, standing protectively between the advancing threat and the helpless family huddled on the asphalt behind him. His noble head lifted proudly, his heart steady and unafraid, prepared to meet whatever fate awaited on the silent road of Ridge Hollow. The truck hurtled forward, its massive frame bearing down with terrifying speed. Briggs stood resolutely in the center of the road, his deep bark echoing like a drumbeat of courage through the silent woods of Ridge Hollow. Eyes blazing with fierce determination, muscles taut beneath his aging fur, he held his ground. The driver spotted Briggs at the last critical moment and slammed his foot onto the brake pedal, tires screeching in protest as the vehicle shuddered violently, finally halting mere inches from Briggs's noble form. Walter Jennings gasped audibly, clutching tightly at his chest as the echoes of his dog's courage faded into tense silence. The pain gripping him was not physical but deeply emotional, born from fear and overwhelming pride in the selfless bravery of the companion who had shared his lonely journey for so long. The truck's door swung open abruptly, and a young man stumbled out, his face pale and eyes wide with shock. Caleb Parker, barely 25, had short, sandy brown hair and wore a worn denim jacket over a simple white t-shirt. His blue eyes carried genuine distress, immediately reflecting concern and guilt. Quickly assessing the scene, Caleb's panic shifted to earnest urgency as he ran forward to Briggs, voice trembling. "My God, is everyone all right?" Briggs, unshaken, turned to gently nuzzle the frightened eaglets, reassuring them with quiet confidence. Walter managed to steady his breathing, leaning heavily against a nearby tree. With a weak but grateful voice, he assured Caleb, "Thanks to Briggs." "Yes." Caleb nodded nervously, clearly relieved yet deeply troubled by the wounded eagle. Kneeling carefully beside Walter, he examined the injured bird closely, whispering gently as if afraid any loud noise might further wound her. The mother eagle's chest rose and fell in ragged breaths, but her gaze held strength, fixing unwaveringly on her precious offspring. "We've got to get her help immediately," Caleb said firmly, looking from the injured bird to Walter and Briggs. "I know a wildlife rescue center nearby, the Ridge Hollow Animal Sanctuary. They'll know what to do." Walter nodded, his voice still strained from the intensity of the incident. "Can you help me get her into your truck?" Caleb agreed instantly, his youthful hands working with incredible gentleness. Using his jacket as a makeshift stretcher, he carefully lifted the eagle into the vehicle. Throughout the careful process, Briggs hovered protectively near the eaglets, his warm breath comforting them, their frightened chirps gradually calming beneath his quiet vigilance. Caleb hesitated briefly, looking down at the eaglets with uncertainty. "Should we carry these little ones separately?" he asked softly. Walter, understanding the bond already formed, glanced warmly at Briggs. The old German shepherd seemed to sense the question, immediately lying down beside the frightened eaglets. Without hesitation, the smallest eaglet instinctively climbed onto Briggs's broad back, nestling between the powerful shoulders of its guardian. Briggs's expression softened further, eyes gentle and warm, as if promising to protect this tiny life no matter what challenges lay ahead. Witnessing this tender scene, Caleb felt a sudden tightness in his throat, his heart swelling at the profound beauty of this unspoken bond. Walter's eyes moistened quietly, memories of past rescues resurfacing vividly. Briggs had always possessed a rare gentleness, comforting frightened creatures and distressed humans alike during his days in rescue missions. And now, even in his twilight years, he continued to embody quiet, unwavering heroism. Carefully, Walter lifted the other eaglet, cradling it softly in his weathered hands, feeling the small heartbeat flutter nervously. Caleb guided Briggs slowly into the back of the truck, Eagle Chick still secure upon his sturdy back. Once safely inside, Walter climbed in beside them, his reassuring hand resting gently on Briggs's thick, reassuring coat. Briggs looked up at him, eyes deep with understanding, a silent promise exchanged between man and dog, companions bonded forever by countless silent victories. As Caleb climbed back into the driver's seat, he glanced at the scene reflected in his rearview mirror, an elderly man, a wounded mother eagle, two frightened eaglets, and a courageous German shepherd who had risked everything to protect life. His chest tightened with gratitude and awe, realizing he had just become part of a story far greater than himself. The engine roared gently to life, and Briggs, sensing that their journey toward hope had begun, quietly rested his noble head beside the eaglet, now peacefully nestled on his back, vigilant eyes softly closing, yet ever watchful. In that moment, a quiet, powerful truth resonated through all their hearts. Sometimes the greatest heroism lies in the silent strength of love, compassion, and unwavering courage. The Ridge Hollow Animal Sanctuary was nestled quietly within dense woods, an oasis of compassion built of wooden cabins and wide, comforting spaces where wounded animals sought healing and refuge. The mother eagle lay softly breathing within one such cozy, shaded enclosure, her body gently resting upon a bed of straw. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the sanctuary's chief veterinarian, a compassionate woman in her early 50s with auburn hair pulled neatly into a ponytail, carefully examined the eagle's damaged wing. Sarah's calm voice delivered difficult news. The eagle had suffered a severe fracture, losing considerable blood, making her chance of survival painfully slim. Outside the enclosure, Briggs lay steadfastly near the door, his large body stretched protectively on the cool floor. His dark eyes never left the mother eagle, and her two small eaglets now nestled safely nearby. Despite Walter's gentle encouragement, Briggs had not touched food or water since their arrival. His only nourishment seemed to come from the comforting reassurance of witnessing the small, fragile movements of the eagle family. Briggs's devotion stirred every staff member deeply, bringing quiet awe and reverence to each heart that passed him. Walter Jennings sat heavily in an old wooden chair near Briggs, his weary hand rhythmically stroking the loyal German shepherd's thick fur. His eyes reflected the weight of long-buried memories, shadows cast by past regrets he had never shared with anyone. Finally, the quiet sanctuary compelled him to release what had burdened him silently for decades. His voice emerged softly, tinged with sadness and shame. "You know, Briggs, I've carried a memory for so long. Back when I was a young man, fresh out of the army, I spent much of my time hunting in the woods near home. I didn't understand nature the way I do now." Walter paused briefly, his chest tightening painfully with remorse. Briggs lifted his head slowly, meeting Walter's gaze with patient understanding. "One afternoon, careless and proud, I fired at what I believed was just a shadow. It was a bald eagle, beautiful and powerful, fallen by my thoughtless hand. I remember how it stared at me, Briggs, eyes so full of dignity even as the light faded away." Walter's voice trembled, eyes filling with tears that had waited years to fall. "I've never forgiven myself, never forgotten that eagle. But you, Briggs, you seem to have brought a chance for forgiveness back into my life." Briggs gently leaned his head against Walter's knee, offering the simple yet profound comfort only a loyal companion can. Walter sighed deeply, feeling a fragile relief flood into his worn heart, as though the scars of that old wound had begun finally to heal. Inside the enclosure, Dr. Mitchell finished bandaging the eagle's wounded wing with delicate precision. She stepped out quietly, approaching Walter with an expression of gentle sincerity. "We've done all we can for now," she said softly, her voice filled with compassion, eyes bright but cautious. "But honestly, Mr. Jennings, her chances aren't good. The next days will be critical. Still, I've seen miracles before." Walter nodded slowly, understanding that life, like healing, had no guaranteed outcomes, yet still holding tightly to hope. Dr. Mitchell knelt beside Briggs, gently placing a reassuring hand upon his strong shoulders. "Your dog's presence is remarkable," she said softly, admiration clear in her voice. "He's done something wonderful here today. His vigilance may give her strength." In response, Briggs softly wagged his tail, eyes shining quietly, as though he understood every word spoken about him. His heart beat steadily beneath Sarah's gentle touch, an anchor of unwavering loyalty. Walter watched the silent exchange with quiet gratitude, realizing once more how deeply Briggs had touched so many lives, animal and human alike. Evening settled gently over Ridge Hollow, stars beginning to sparkle quietly above. Briggs remained faithfully at his post, ever watchful, determined not to abandon the vulnerable creatures who depended on him. Walter stayed too, finding quiet solace in simply being there with Briggs, united in their shared devotion. As the darkness softly embraced them, Walter spoke gently once more, voice heavy with heartfelt gratitude. "Thank you, Briggs, for giving an old man peace again." Briggs lifted his wise eyes, silently promising that together they would continue guarding fragile lives, mending hearts, and healing old wounds with quiet courage, compassion, and love. Days gently passed at Ridge Hollow Animal Sanctuary, each sunrise bringing renewed hope. Inside the cozy wooden enclosure, the mother eagle began to show signs of life returning. Her breathing steadied, eyes brightened, and her strength, fragile yet determined, slowly grew with each passing hour. Though she still couldn't soar freely into the open skies, her spirit had found flight once again in the quiet shelter of compassionate care. Briggs, the gentle German shepherd, remained a constant guardian nearby. He watched carefully through patient eyes, his mere presence a quiet assurance of safety for the eagle family. His dedication, expressed through quiet vigilance and comforting proximity, seemed to transmit a silent but powerful energy of hope, nurturing the wounded mother back to health. Staff members at the sanctuary frequently paused to witness the extraordinary scene unfolding daily. Briggs, strong yet tender, patiently guarding the majestic bird, proving that love indeed had the power to transcend the barriers between species. One of the eaglets, the smaller and more timid of the two, had developed an especially strong bond with Briggs. Each evening, after the day's caretakers had departed, leaving the sanctuary hushed in twilight serenity, the little eaglet would carefully climb onto Briggs's broad back. Nestling comfortably into his thick fur, Briggs accepted the tiny creature's presence with unconditional affection, remaining utterly still so as not to disturb his fragile passenger. Watching this gentle giant carry the tiny eaglet softly on his back became an image of pure compassion, capturing hearts throughout the sanctuary. Soon, whispers of Briggs's extraordinary actions spread beyond Ridge Hollow. Residents from surrounding towns heard of the gentle German shepherd who had risked his own safety to rescue and now nurtured a family of eagles. The sanctuary received letters and messages of support and admiration from families, veterans, teachers, and children alike, each deeply touched by Briggs's story. Local newspapers and television channels soon visited, capturing precious images of Briggs patiently supporting his little feathered companion. One afternoon, a local reporter named Jessica Hayes arrived to document the inspiring story. Jessica, a kind-hearted woman in her early 30s with short blonde hair and a warm smile, knelt quietly beside Briggs, camera gently in hand. As she captured the powerful yet delicate moments shared between Briggs and his tiny friend, tears filled her eyes, moved deeply by the scene before her. Jessica's heartfelt article soon appeared on the front page of the Ridge Hollow Times, accompanied by an unforgettable photograph capturing the beautiful bond between dog and eaglet. Walter Jennings, quietly proud yet humbled by the community's response, watched the unfolding attention with gratitude and amazement. His heart, once burdened by regret and loss, swelled quietly with pride for his beloved companion. Briggs, ever modest and unassuming, simply continued his gentle guardianship without expectation or understanding of his newfound fame. To Briggs, the true reward was simply being present, offering comfort and safety to those who needed it most. As days stretched into weeks, the mother eagle's condition improved significantly. Dr. Sarah Mitchell reported with cautious optimism that the eagle was finally out of immediate danger. Walter felt a quiet relief, knowing that Briggs's steadfast presence had undeniably played a crucial role in this miracle of recovery. Briggs himself seemed to sense the improvement, often lying closer to the eagle family, as if offering silent congratulations for their strength and courage. Late one evening, as stars painted the sky with soft silver light, Walter sat quietly beside Briggs, their companionship deepening with every shared silence. Walter gently stroked Briggs's fur, his voice soft yet filled with emotion. "Briggs, you've shown us all something extraordinary. Your love has healed more than just wings. It has healed hearts, mine most of all." Briggs responded by quietly resting his head on Walter's lap, breathing softly in tranquil contentment. Together, beneath the gentle embrace of the quiet night, dog and man shared an understanding deeper than words could ever convey. Love had indeed guided life, bridging pain, healing wounds, and proving once again that compassion held the strength to mend even the most wounded souls. Morning broke over Ridge Hollow with a gentle brilliance, sunlight dancing softly across the sanctuary grounds. After weeks of patient care, strength had fully returned to the mother eagle, her wings once fragile, now strong and ready to embrace the open skies again. Her eaglets, grown confident under Briggs's nurturing presence, chirped eagerly, sensing the approaching freedom awaiting them. The day had finally arrived, bringing both joy and bittersweet anticipation to everyone at the sanctuary. The staff gathered quietly, a respectful circle forming near the sanctuary's edge, beneath a wide, endless blue sky. Dr. Sarah Mitchell stood calmly among them, her eyes radiant with pride. Beside her was Caleb Parker, the young truck driver whose accidental meeting on a forest road had transformed into a life-altering journey of compassion. Jessica Hayes, the local reporter, held her camera, capturing images destined to forever remain in the hearts of Ridge Hollow residents. Walter Jennings stood quietly beside Briggs, his hand gently resting on the old German shepherd's broad shoulders. Both man and dog watched quietly as Dr. Mitchell carefully carried the mother eagle forward, releasing her onto a sturdy wooden perch prepared for her final farewell. Beside her, the two eaglets stood nervously, wings fluttering with youthful anticipation. As the mother eagle surveyed the wide, open horizon, a palpable stillness settled across the gathering. She stretched her wings slowly, feathers glistening beautifully in the sunlight, eyes fierce and focused, recognizing the call of freedom whispered by the gentle winds above. Then, with a powerful leap, the mother eagle soared upward, her majestic form silhouetted gracefully against the infinite sky. Her eaglets immediately followed, their youthful wings strong enough to catch the currents guiding them toward new beginnings. Witnessing the graceful ascent, tears quietly filled the eyes of those watching from below. Briggs, standing silently, raised his noble head, his deep eyes following the rising forms. His gaze was peaceful, yet somehow tinged with a quiet sorrow, understanding profoundly that this goodbye marked the fulfillment of his gentle guardianship. The tiny eaglet that once sought warmth and security nestled upon his back now soared confidently upward, proving Briggs's gentle guidance had achieved its highest purpose. Walter felt a deep warmth spread through his chest, a healing comfort born from seeing these beautiful birds return safely to their natural home. With a soft sigh, he knelt gently beside Briggs, placing his weathered hand tenderly upon his friend's head. In a voice barely audible, filled with gratitude and quiet emotion, Walter whispered softly, "You saved them, Briggs, and you saved me too." Briggs responded quietly, leaning gently into Walter's touch, his deep brown eyes expressing silent acknowledgement of their journey together. Above them, the three majestic birds gradually diminished into tiny, distant specks, blending seamlessly into the bright expanse of endless blue. Slowly, the sanctuary staff dispersed, each person quietly reflecting on the beauty they had just witnessed. Caleb smiled warmly, knowing this day had forever changed his perspective on life's fragile connections. Dr. Mitchell gently squeezed Walter's shoulder as she passed by, quietly affirming the extraordinary bond they had all witnessed. Jessica carefully put away her camera, realizing no photograph could ever fully capture the depth of love and compassion shared beneath that endless sky. Walter and Briggs lingered quietly beneath the open heavens, sharing a silent communion of understanding and contentment. Walter gazed upward once more, his heart feeling lighter than it had in years. Briggs lay gently at his feet, his breathing calm and steady, a quiet guardian whose courage and love had mended wings, hearts, and souls alike. As the afternoon sun cast golden rays across Ridge Hollow, Walter finally spoke again, his voice gentle yet firm, filled with the wisdom of one whose spirit had been deeply healed. "Let's head home, Briggs," he said softly. "Our work here is done." Briggs stood slowly, faithfully by Walter's side, their footsteps echoing softly as they walked away, each step filled with quiet dignity and peace. Together, man and dog returned homeward, carrying the quiet strength born from compassion, courage, and unwavering love, knowing their lives had been forever enriched by the simple act of helping others take flight once more. Above, the sky stretched endlessly, free and open, sheltering all beneath its gentle embrace, forever a reminder that even the deepest wounds could heal, guided by the silent strength of love. Sometimes, love quietly appears in moments of sacrifice and silent courage, teaching us that true heroism lies in compassion freely given. If Briggs's story touched your heart, consider joining us on this gentle journey by subscribing and sharing this tale of quiet bravery. Together, let's continue spreading the warmth that heals souls and lifts hearts, one beautiful story at a time.